This is your video on section 7.4. This is quadrilaterals. So if you have your notes out, we need to go through your notes for this lesson. A quadrilateral is a polygon with 4 sides, and you should have taken some video notes. So let's make sure you have those filled in. A quadrilateral, you should fill that out on the first blank, is a polygon with 4 sides and 4 angles. And there are several different types of quadrilaterals, which you should have seen in your video. First of all, you saw a square. A square has 4 equal sides and 4 equal angles. You saw a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 equal angles. A rhombus has 4 equal sides. A parallelogram has 2 pairs of parallel sides. And a trapezoid has 1 pair of parallel sides. And just to maybe help yourself out, you could draw a square and you could draw a rectangle. A rhombus has equal sides but not right angles. Parallelogram has opposite sides parallel. That's a horrible picture of a parallelogram. Let's try that again. The opposite sides are parallel. And then a trapezoid just has 1 pair of parallel sides. There are lots of different looking trapezoids. The thing to know to mark for parallel is has little markings like that. That means parallel. Those are parallel. These are parallel. So when you see those markings, you know they are parallel. Now, we learned in the video that the sum of the angles of a quadrilateral is always 180 degrees. And opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal, and that will help you find missing angles. So let's jump down to this picture you have on your notes now. I want you to take some time and study this. This is a graph that shows you the different types of quadrilaterals. Now, quadrilateral is anything with 4 sides, and below it you'll see special types of quadrilaterals. Straight down is a parallelogram, and the parallelogram must have opposite sides parallel and congruent. Congruent means equal. So there are special kinds of parallelograms. Over here on this side you see a rectangle. A rectangle is a parallelogram, which is a special one where all of the angles are right angles. And then down below that you'll see a square. A square is actually a rectangle and a parallelogram. It's a special kind where the sides are equal and the angles are 90 degrees. On the other side of the parallelogram you have a rhombus. That's a parallelogram, but all the sides are equal on this one. And a square is a special rhombus because a square is a rhombus that has right angles. So when you classify things, a lot of times you're going to have several classifications. Now, another thing, if you notice to the left here, you have a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a special kind of quadrilateral which just has 1 set of parallel sides. And over to the right here, you have a special kind called a kite. And a kite has sides that are the same that are touching. So these 2 sides are touching and they're equal. And these 2 sides are touching and they're equal. And that's what a kite is. So you want to take a minute and study this. Go through it and memorize it so that you could know what each shape is called. Pause this, and when you think you've got it ready, go ahead and turn your video back on. Okay, this is not on your notes, but this is practicing using the chart that is on your notes. So looking at your chart, I want you to tell me all the names that apply to this figure. Now, each of the sides are marked the same, and they're all right angles. So you write down what you think this is, and then I will show you. First of all, it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, and it's a parallelogram because the opposite sides are equal. It's also a rectangle, and it's also a rhombus because it has equal sides, and it's also a square. So anything that's a square is also a rhombus, a rectangle, a parallelogram, and a quadrilateral. So you have a lot of different words there. Here's the next one. Pause it and write down what you think it is. Okay, you should have said it's a quadrilateral. It has 4 sides, and it's a parallelogram. And it's a rhombus because all the sides are equal. So you have 3 things you could identify for that one. Let's look at this one. What would you say this is? First of all, it's a quadrilateral. What else is it? It's a parallelogram, and it's also a rectangle. So a rectangle is a parallelogram, and it is a quadrilateral. What about this guy? It has 4 sides, so it is a quadrilateral, and the sides are touching each other are not marked as equal, so that's all we can say is that it's a quadrilateral. Kind of looks like a kite. If the markings had been there, if they told me these were equal, I would say that it was a kite. But since they're not, we have to leave it as is. Okay, going back to your notes, you have these 3 problems on your notes. says find the value of x. We learned in our video that all the angles must add up to 360 degrees. So the fastest way to do it would to be add up the angles you have. So 115 plus 70 plus 75. 5 plus 5 is 10, 14, 15, 16. So far we have 260. So you know one value plus 260 has to equal 360. And we would just subtract that 260 to find our solution, which would be 100 degrees. So that's how you find a missing side. Please pause and find the values for the next two, and then you can turn it back on. Okay, this next one, if you add up all of your angles, you have 100 plus 100 plus 80, which comes out to be 280 degrees. So x plus 280 equals 360. Always adds up to 360. If you subtract 280, you're going to find out that x is 80 degrees. Now, in this case, this was a parallelogram and opposite sides are equal. So if opposite sides on one side are equal, they're going to be equal on the other side. And finally, when you add these up, on the bottom one, you should have had 81 plus 124, and you have another angle here. You have a 90-degree angle. When you add those up, 4 plus 1 is 5, and 9 plus 2 is 11, plus 8 is 19. So we have 295 degrees. So x plus 295 equals 360. So you just have to subtract your 295, and you find out that x is 65 degrees. So that's how you find the missing side of a quadrilateral. Now your homework is in the book on page 296. There is a paper for that you can pick up. You need to do 4 through 13 and 18 through 23 all, and then do homework quiz 7.4.